Mm-hmm.
Okay, for those that have just joined in, sorry, we are just going to remove that permission of unmuting so that we try to reduce on the noise. For those that are in mute, try to mute again. We shall give you permission to unmute later on. We want to avoid the noise that normally comes in. So you're most welcome. Our today's discussion basically proudly sponsored by the Parrots Media. And Venus Tech is discussing the navigating the digital news. You know, over time, what we are having in this period is the digital news are taking over, and it's a wave that is unavoidable, and we have nothing to do with it, but rather to just adjust and understand how best to deal with it. So basically, our discussion will be looking at how we are going to navigate through this digital news wave. And your presenter today is Nashao Victor. For those that are hearing me for the first time, for those that have never met me before, that's who I am. I am the team leader of Venus Tech. This is an IT firm. And basically, when you hear digital news, you know, IT has to come in and come in boldly. And that is what I will be discussing today. So, looking at Baguma, I'm trying to mute you. Sorry about that, so that we try to remove anything like noise that may come therein. So when we are discussing comparing news articles, you know, over time we have been to the internet, and whatever you come across, you know, you look at news articles, you wonder why are you able to see something. For example, something happens, you find it is what you are able. Let me give an example. For example, someone has retired, and when you search over the internet, you are looking at that item from a particular media house, and you wonder why are they concentrating on that media house? Why not the other media house? So it is what we need to discuss and know how can we manage our content and be on top there. And it is more or less to do with optimizing our content for the web. And that is what we are also going to discuss, and also how we are going to engage with our online audience. So basically, this session is basically about comparing news articles, optimizing content for the web, and engaging with our online audience effectively. Because without these three, you will lose out in the world of online journalism. And just know online journalism is taking over. It is becoming the way to go. Without online journalism, you become irrelevant. So looking at online journalism, of course, some people normally refer to it as digital journalism. Some people refer to it as web journalism. All this looks at basically how content is posted on the web. You know, when you're looking at the online journalism, we are basically looking at content. So we are looking at how we are reporting, how we are producing it, and how we are distributing this content. For this case, we are looking at the journalistic content, but in other cases, you may look at all other content that is available on the internet. So how you report it, how you produce it, and how you distribute it over is what we look at as the online journalism. And because what makes it online is because it is shared on the internet. And one of the ways to share it on the internet is by using the digital platforms. And now the digital platforms that we are going to look at is basically the website, because with these others, we may not concentrate on them now. That will be a discussion for another time. But now we're going to concentrate on the websites as one of the digital platforms over the internet where our online journalism can be practiced. So looking into websites, we understand that websites basically it is about posting content on the site, and this content over time keeps changing, and with time the way it started is not how it is, and we need to understand how has it evolved over time. You know, over time we have had the websites evolving, how we post information on the websites is evolving, so we need to get to understand how best can we match with this evolving web posting. So we understand that over the years, there have been changes in technology, the changes in user behavior, the changes in the search engine algorithms. Basically, technology, it is slightly clear to us. Then we look at the user behavior. Different users come up with different needs. We look at the search engine algorithms. Search engine, we are basically looking at things like Google. We are looking at things like Bing. When I talk of Bing, some people may not understand it well. We look at things like Microsoft. How you're able to search for that information. And the algorithm is basically that. I want to use a simpler term, that in which information is made available to you on a certain page where you have searched for some information. We need to quickly look at the ways in which this web posting content has evolved. So, for example, over the years, previously, we didn't have the mobile phones. We didn't have the gadgets like the smartphones, the tablets. So web content was basically made available for particular websites that are going to use that are going to be used on the computers. But then what happened was, with this evolution of the smartphones and the tablets, now our content must be responsive. You must have content that is responsive if you're to be able to access the search engine and be up there. So you have to have content that matches with the different screen sizes, and users should have a seamless user experience the moment they are on any of these gadgets, whether on a phone, whether on a tablet, whether on a laptop, and so on and so forth. And of course, we are looking at the user-generated content. There are platforms that have come up. Look at social media, providing the user-generated content. For example, you write your post, and below there, you have a forum where people can contribute by commenting on your post. You have forums where people can discuss. All this helps in your content to go up there on the search engine. And we also look at these comments, the contents that come up, the reviews and the opinions. They create it more interactive. And in being interactive, a search engine sees that your content is good enough for people to maximize it. And then we are looking at also about some time back, some people may think it is 1970s. No, we are looking at 2000, just as early as that time. So before that, we didn't have images, we didn't have videos, we didn't have infographics, we didn't have interactive elements. So basically everything was just text. But now we have multimedia, and we have to maximize these images, these videos. We have to maximize the infographics so as to be on the internet and be up there. Then we also have to utilize our content management systems. These content management systems such as WordPress, we are looking at things like Joomla, among others. Engine optimization, that is a topic that is very, very, very important and vital to all of us. We need to understand it very well. We need to utilize content quality and authority. We need to utilize the privacy concerns, among others. So the next item is basically understanding your audience. For those that have just joined in, for those that are watching us, we are understanding the evolution of web posting. We are looking at websites as one of the strategies for online journalism. Now, understanding your audience is very crucial, especially when you're posting on a website, because it allows you to create content that resonates with your target demographic. You know, for example, the gender that you're dealing with, if you're posting information made for gents, if you're posting information that is made for ladies, among others. And this will also help us to effectively communicate our message to our audience. And in so doing, we have the engagement increase. So we look at the relevance as one of the importances of understanding our audience. You know, the moment you understand your audience, your information, your content will be relevant to a particular audience. For example, here we're looking at the interests of the people, we are looking at the needs, we are looking at the preferences. So these particular items, the interests, if you know someone is interested in a particular item, then your content must be triggered to that. Then you also look at the need. For example, you realize that some of your people need particular items. I may be posting in a group, I may want to target the youth, for example, those that are interested in music. So when I'm drafting my content, I know that my people are interested in music. So my content must be aligned to what they need in reality. So we are, and of course, when you're relevant to your audience, it increases the engagement. And we also here look at something we call the conversion rate. Of course, for the new sites, as we are going to look at later on, for conversion may not be the case. Here we are looking at engagement. When you're putting your article out there, is it engaging? Are you having people comment on it? Of course, the more people comment on your item, the more a search engine will know this is very relevant to the people and they will rank it high. We are looking at the content delivery time. Of course, we are going to later on understand that you need to have a calendar for your posts. And to have this calendar, you must have understood your audience and know the content delivery time, which we are going to, with time, refer to as the CDT. Now, the content delivery time, in this we are looking at the habits of our people. For example, I may be having my content, let's say about music. Now, you cannot post something on the website about music. It's a random blog, and then you're posting it on a Monday when you know that most of your people are working class. So you have to target on a Friday in the evening there. You post it on the website. You just know it will engage as many people as possible. So as you're drawing your content calendar, you must keep in mind the CDT, which is the content delivery time, so that you are able to maximize the productivity. We are also looking at a conversion optimization. This conversion is very important, especially if you're hired later on to post on a site of a company. Site, you may have a particular content I need to find out. Hello, can you get me clearly now?
Yes, I can get you now, but I think it's a two-way network. Even mine here is a bit poor.
Yeah, I think it's network. I'm on and off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I hope now we are loud and clear.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. So we had looked at the relevance, we had looked at the content delivery time, whereby you have to have the CDT at the back of your mind as you're scheduling for these posts on the internet. When you can post this, of course, you must have understood your audience and know when to post what. And then we had looked at the conversion optimization, the content format. We are going to discuss it later on. And then you have to also build trust, of course, through the tone and the voice. So for example, if you understand your audience and know most of my people I am posting to are the youth. Now, the way you speak to the youth will be different from the way you're speaking to adults. So your tone will be completely different. You'll find yourself using slangs, and you find people will have trust in you because that's how you're communicating. And when you continue to build this brand with your news platform, you'll find out that this brand will be aligned to, let's say, a particular tone. I didn't want to point out some examples, but there are some examples of platforms whereby when you go there and you find the tone is different. For example, if I'm going on the site of BBC Nigeria and I find the English they are speaking is the ordinary English, not the Nigerian English, I will know I'm in a wrong place. So in such scenarios, you have to know that your audience understands your tone, and you have to maintain that tone whenever you post. And so are the search engines. The different search engines like Google, like Bing, they also understand the tone of your site. So whenever people are searching for you, they will look at the tone that you're always using in your posts through the algorithm that I was talking about. So here we're looking at the content planning and strategy. Now, this is a very important point. Of course, this is something that most people will not talk about. I understand these days, even in the classes of journalism, they may not talk about some of these because these are just coming up, and we need to update our tutorials to search, because without them, then we are missing out on the internet. So on the content planning strategy, here we are. This formula is not defined. So this particular formula, I have defined it myself, and I've always used it whenever I am posting. And whenever I'm training different people, different members on the team, I train them on the 5. And these 5 are what I am going to encourage each and everyone to have at the back of their mind whenever you're posting something. So in other words, whenever you're thinking about posting one single article or one single blog on your site, make sure you have these 5 at your fingertips. That's what our economics teacher used to say. Number 1, you have to set a clear content goal. In other words, what do you want your content? What do you want? Okay, so in this particular scenario, you have to look at what is that particular item that you want to communicate through your article. Now, when you set your goals clear, for example, I may talk about this briefly. For a blog, you may want to have a blog to market a particular cream, a particular food item, something like that. So the moment you have that goal clear, even your content will be very easy to draft. You'll know which links to put in, which items to refer to, the keyword search words to put, among others. So the second item is create a content calendar. Of course, a content calendar, you remember when we talked about the CDT in the previous slide. So creating your content calendar is very important because you know particular times when to post what. For example, if I have created my content calendar, I will know in the morning people are interested in learning. So my blog will be specifically on a learning item. So something like that. In the evening, it will be fun. So the moment you have set your calendar clear, it is very easy for you to post these items. And then for news, they are breaking news. That one is random. Anytime you get it, breaking is breaking. That one does not go through the format of the CDT. But these other items that you will need to post, for example, there is a news item that may not be for a particular, may not be breaking. So that one you have to make it fall under the content calendar. And then we look at the keyword research. This one is basically for SEO. SEO is search engine optimization. That one is might be a topic for another time, but we are also talking about it throughout this presentation. And we shall try to create some time later for people to learn more about the search engine optimization, which is the SEO, which is very, very, very important as you're on the internet. But basically looking at the keyword research, here you look at a particular news item you want to post. Now, if you have a news item, look at that news item. In your heading, what do you want people to know your item for? For example, if a certain leader has retired, do you want to know it by a leader who has retired, or you want to know by maybe what caused the person to retire? Now, when you understand that keyword, of course, it will trigger the whole notion of your article. For example, I may want to write something, but I am targeting the president, let's say, of Uganda. Now, by using the word the president of Uganda, president is generic. Everywhere on the internet, people are using the word president. But the moment you single out that keyword, for example, Museveni, that will be particular for your item, whereby someone who searches for Museveni, they will be able to get that item. So in this case, sorry for using the word retiring. It's not a rumor, so don't post about it. But I am looking at a scenario like the president of Uganda has retired. So what keyword am I looking at? Will I look at the keyword as president? Not at all. Because if you put president, we have so many presidents in the world. So here we look at one particular person, and that will be, let's say, Museveni. So in your keywords, one of the keywords that must feature in there is Museveni. For example, people who will go, here we are looking at a scenario where someone is going to the Google to search. So someone who goes to Google to search will not look at the president who has retired. No, someone will put, has Museveni retired? Now, the moment that keyword is within your article, now Google will profile that particular item. Of course, that we shall get to understand it later. We can demonstrate. For those that will have questions, we shall try to respond to them. But that is basically about the keyword. So you must have the keyword at the back of your mind whenever you're creating content to post on the site. And then, of course, another important item is what is trending. You know, what is trending is very, very important and vital. A trending topic sells out on the internet. Of course, for those that have been posting over time on the news platforms, they understand it very well that what is trending will sell out. Not only will it sell out on Google, but it will sell out even for your readership, people that will just come abruptly on your site. The moment something is trending, they want to read it. So identify those trending topics and always have an article written on them. The moment you have an article written on those trending items, trust me, you're going to rock the internet and you'll be out there for everyone to see. And then we look at another important number 5 in this content planning strategy, which is a structure that I have constructed. Please don't refer to it anywhere. formal, because this is my informal strategy that I have always used for posting. So it will guide you, but don't say this is how it is and you take it as Bible truth. No, this is something that can guide. You may pick some lessons from it. You may build yours and add in others. You may say, this one will not work for me, but trust me, this has worked for me. And it will work for you the moment you use it perfectly. And then the last item on this content planning strategy is having the content format. And in the content format is understand what you're going to write. Are you going to write an article? Are you going to write a blog? Are you going to have a video? Are you having infographics? What are you writing? Now, this is also very, very vital and important. Over the years, different people that I've interacted with, they do not understand the difference between an article and a blog. So some people are writing blogs and then they are writing them as articles. Some people are writing articles and they are writing them as blogs. So from this particular session, you must understand what an article is and also understand what a blog is, so that we don't keep seeing blogs appearing as articles and articles appearing as blogs, because the moment you don't understand the two, there is a very thin line between them. You may end up confusing the other. So we need to understand this blog vis-a-vis the article. Where do I lie? You know, whenever you're posting something, where do you lie? Are you posting a blog? Are you posting an article? Of course, this one does not mean that when you're concentrating on articles, you cannot do blogs. You can have like a news site having blogs, you can have it having articles. But then as a journalist, as someone who is an expert in posting these things, you must be able to draw a very thick line. Sorry, my internet is slightly unstable. I need to find out. Are you able to hear me very well? Hello.
Yes, I can get you. I don't know whether others are getting you.
Yeah, I can also get you very well.
Okay, that's perfect. I see it is complaining that it is unstable, but I hope it has now stabilized. And I've not been receiving the comments of those that are watching from YouTube, but then for any comment, just post them in the comment section. And for those that are just following live here, you can, any comment, you just put a question in the chat. I'll be able to read the chat as we continue to interact later on. Okay, so we were looking at how to draw that line between a blog and an article, and we were saying that this item of a blog and an article, it is very, very important to understand, because the moment you don't understand, you always find yourself confusing the two. So when you look at a blog and looking at an article, we are just going to make comparisons. Here the comparison, for example, when we look at the authorship and the style, looking at an example of on a blog. Now for the blog, it is more informal and it has a conversational tone. In other words, if I'm writing, if I'm having an article which is a blog, I will have my content informal and trying to convert people into something. For example, I may target them into, when you look at some content that we have posted on the site, for example, Venus Tech, it is basically triggering the people to maybe have build their websites, maybe to buy products that are IT related, among others. So ours are basically triggered on attracting people to a particular item. So in other words, the tone is converting. So I don't expect someone who is writing on a news site to have your content, and this content you're having is basically aimed at converting people then just know you're doing a blog, not an article. If you want to convert people to something, then write it as a blog in the format that you're going to understand later on. Now, for the articles, they are mainly formal and objective, straight to the point, and you're looking at something clearly. Then the other aspect that you have to understand is about the content length. This has also been very vital in some cases. Whenever I am reaching out to some people, people ask, what is the difference between a blog? What's the difference between an article? And one of the ways to understand the differences is through the content length. For the blogs, they are very often, they are shorter and concise. In other words, they are easily digestible. The moment someone goes to it, straight away, they will understand what you're writing about. And then for the articles, they normally tend to be longer and more comprehensive, trying to dig deep into the matter. When we are looking at a blog, for example, looking at how concise and easily digestible, it is very, very brief. You don't have to write pages and pages of a blog. But for an article, you can write a page and so on, pages. But in most cases, I normally advise for a blog, make sure you don't go less than 300 words. The reason is, from experience, the different search engines normally prefer content that is from 300 onwards. The moment your content is less than 300, they will look at it as not serious and engaging. So whenever they are posting, someone asks a question, there are those snippets that we can look at later on as we are interacting. Those snippets that normally appear whenever you search. For example, if I go to the internet and ask, who is the president of this? Who is this? Now, those replies are normally coming in from the blogs and the articles. So the moment your thing is very brief, Google will look at it as maybe you're doing a scam, maybe you're trying to convert people to something. So they will not refer to it as authentic. So authenticity also will have to look at the content length. And then we're also looking at the articles being longer, but not too long. Don't have an article that is very long. That one is also deadly. And then we are looking at the purpose. The blogs are basically aimed at informing, entertaining, and engaging a specific audience. And of course, for articles, they are basically used for reporting news, providing in-depth analysis, offering expert insights, or presenting research findings. So you cannot want to write about an in-depth analysis and then you find yourself writing a blog. Now that one is awkward. Then we look at what we call the search engine optimization, the SEO, and the keywords. So search engine optimization and the keywords in here for blogs, they are basically optimized and they target specific keywords. For example, when I'm writing an article, let's say I'm talking about Parrots Media. For the blog, I will target the keyword Parrots. Maybe I want to say Parrots Media, and then I target that keyword. Blogs are very specific for that. But then for an article, for them, when you're writing an article, basically target the readership. Forget about focusing on the specific keywords. For example, don't write an article and you want to promote a keyword like parrots, and then you're including it as in an article. That one will not work out. And then we are also looking at the authorship attribution. For the blogs, this is also very important for us to understand. The blogs, you must indicate the author's name and the byline very clearly, because most of the blogs, people attach a blog to a particular person. With a particular blog, personally, whenever I'm on the internet and trying to read, there is that particular content that I will look at and say, oh, yeah, I love this article. This article has been written by this particular person, but then it is a blog. The moment you attach something to a person, then in most cases, it is a blog. And then for the author, for the article, under the article, basically, we are looking at the author's byline, but it is not as important. So on a news site, the author's byline is not very important, especially when you're dealing with an article, because with the article, basically it is attributed to the publication or a platform where it is appearing. For example, something that has been posted on a news site, even if I don't include my name, people will attribute it to, let's say, things like Nile Post, things like Parrots Media, among others. So in that case, in that scenario, you will understand that an author's byline is not very important for an article, but very vital for a blog. So basically, those are the key features I've looked at, just 5 of them. Of course, there are very many others, but for me, I was concentrating on the 5 to understand the difference between the blog and an article. So we now need to dig deep as we head towards concluding. Here, we need to dig deep into creating a high quality content. And here are some of the items that I've looked at, and I wish to the different people that are watching, that are listening, to understand. And here is number 1, writing for the web. The moment you're writing anything for the web, online journalism, concentrate on the readability. Is your content readable? So readability is very important, not only for the search engine optimization, but also for your readers, because you need to engage them at a later stage. So have high quality content. And then number 2 is craft comparing headlines and intros. In other words, your intro must be comparing and then the headline. Sometimes you find some people writing things on the internet and the headline is confusing, you cannot understand it. The introduction is equally nothing. But here is something to understand. Whenever you're writing an article, the very, very first paragraph should be explanatory in a way that someone will be able to understand it. And what happens with these search engines like Google, it will look at the heading and then the first 2 paragraphs. Now, it will not go further to understand what is in there. Now, the moment the first 2 are not putting out the message, then they will not rank high. What do I mean? If you're posting, we are looking at maybe, sorry, I'm over referring to the presidents. I don't know why, but if let's say President Museveni had a meeting with Salva Kiir at State House, now the moment your introduction is not having anything, let's say, about Museveni and Salva Kiir, and in the introduction you're writing something outside that topic, now it means whenever someone goes on Google and searches what happened when, let's say, Museveni met Salva Kiir, now they will look for people that have Museveni and Salva Kiir in the headline. Now they will look at what happened. Now they will look at the introduction of your article. They will say, is your introduction explaining or answering the question that someone is pointing out? Now that is what the algorithm, the bot is trying to find out. Now the moment it is responding to that, then your article will be among the first to appear on the internet there on the search page. So that is why you see some of the articles are appearing first and others are appearing last, and yet you're literally posting the same information, but the style of how you're posting it also matters. Then number 2, use proper visuals and multimedia. What do I mean? Here I'm basically looking at images and videos, but let me concentrate on the images. Now your images must be communicating. The moment you have, you're talking about a heading is, let's say, something very funny has happened, but then in your images, the people you're using are sad. Now the moment someone is searching on the internet, the moment they put people who are sad, your article will appear much as you're talking about people who are happy. Now, someone might think this is a joke, but when you look at, for example, try to understand like Google Photos, Google Photos will try to sort out your images. What style do they use? They use a Google bot that goes and looks at your images. They look at where an image has the teeth out. Now, of course, they predict that that person is laughing. So when someone searches for people laughing, they look at your image. Now, these images, the moment you put an image, also include what we call an alt. An alt, for those that maybe use like WordPress, all these other content management platforms, they give you an option of having an alt. That alt should be self-explanatory. For example, if I'm putting an image of someone, now in the alt, I need to include that person, especially if the person is a celebrity on the internet. I am writing an article, I want to talk about a biography of, let's say, a certain person, John. Now, when you put an image of John, in the alt, you have to have John with his full name and maybe what you're talking about, maybe biography of John. That image must be communicating. So that when someone, let's say, searches on Google or on Bing or somewhere else, and then they go to images, still your image will be relevant. And then we are looking at avoid. Okay, and then we are also looking at avoiding plagiarism and duplicate content. The moment you don't avoid plagiarism and duplicate content on your site, trust me, you'll never rank high, because the moment the search engine detects that this information you're putting there is a copy and paste. What do I mean? Some people have a habit of copying. They copy content from Wikipedia the way it is, and post it in their article. Now, the moment the Google, the bot, this algorithm is trying to find out your content and then finds out that something is being duplicated on the internet, then trust me, your article will never rank high, because they will look at it and say, no, this article seems it has been copied and pasted. So they will look at it as fake. Identify these trending topics. That one is very familiar to most of us, and I've explained it before. And then make use of internal and external linking strategies. What do I mean here? When you're writing an article, we want it to rank high. Now, look out for particular items that you want to address. You know, when you are drawing your plan for your content, you identified and said, okay, my article will be communicating this, and this. This is the audience I'm targeting. Let me give an example. I'm writing, let's say, about President Museveni. Now, whenever I put President Museveni, I can interlink the name President Museveni, maybe to his profile on Wikipedia. I can maybe link something to State House, those sites that are regularly visited. Look for sites that are all the time, that are engaging users all the time. Now, link to them. And then internally also link to your content. For example, if I'm writing something and there's an article that you had written about something familiar in that topic that you're talking about, make sure you link it in there, because people who will now be searching for that, in the long run, Google will also detect that this article also is very important when they are looking for this. So it will interlink the two articles, and you find you are looking for someone, and then someone is rocking the internet with subsequent items. Then this is mobile optimization and responsive design. This is basically for the developers. This is for ours, this to understand. We have to develop sites that are mobile, optimized, and then also responsive. We have to leverage social media. Social media is so engaging. And to have an engaging audience, make sure your articles are posted all through social media, because the moment people are referring to your, for example, someone goes to Facebook, clicks your post and connects to your article. Now, Google will detect that whenever your content is posted on Facebook, people go to your site. Now, whenever someone is searching, now there are items that come that are referring to Facebook. Now there, your article will be number one. So also utilize social media because it is a tool, it's a power. And then you need to monitor and engage with your audience. Make sure your audience is as engaged as possible. Engage with your audience all the time. Whenever they comment, respond. Whenever they say something, react. So that all the time, people will always look out for that particular post. For example, if I posted something, no, let me not refer to myself. If someone posted something and I went there and said, oh, this is a wonderful piece. How can I find this? And then you go down there and you're responding. And then you also ask a question. Now this person also responds. You know, indirectly what you're doing, your post is having a longer reading time. Now, the moment people take long on your article, in other words, the moment your conversion rate, the people are converted to your article and spend long on that particular article, trust me, Google will know that this article is very, very relevant. That's why previously I was talking about, even if you're writing a blog, make sure you don't go less than 300 words because we need people to read and spend some time there. The moment people just click and go, still Google will look at it as irrelevant, but people who go there and read it for some time, they will know that it is very important. So that's why it is also important to engage with your audience all the time. And then, of course, you need to track your content performance metrics, know how your content is performing, in which country are you performing well. Fight so hard. You know, there are some people that are there on the internet, you're posting news, but all the time the people that are reading your news are from the United States. What does that mean? That people who are using Google and are in Uganda, whenever they are searching for you, they will never get you. Why? Because your content is made for people in the United States. So the moment you understand your content, make sure you populate to where you want your content to sell and stand out. That's why the performance metrics are very important. Of course, if you don't have them on your particular site, we can guide you on how to make sure you include that. And then another item is creating accessible content. The alt text, I had also already talked about it when dealing with images and media, different media items. Having proper headings, don't have a heading that is confusing. You're trying to write a topic about taxes, but then in a topic, you're talking about furniture. Now that is completely confusing. So people who are searching for taxes will not find you because your topic, your heading is having furniture. So your heading must be as proper as possible. Trust me, with this, you will have created high quality content. I want to thank you for listening. This has been an engaging session. Of course, trust me, some of you may have had some of these terms for the first time, but trust me, the more you continue to use your platform to post here and there, you'll get to understand. And the moment you practice this, you'll hit the internet and you'll be out there. Thank you very, very, very much for listening. This has been proudly sponsored by the Parrots Media and in collaboration with Venus Tech. So in case of any question, we are now ready to respond to any of the questions that you may be having. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions?
I can give a comment briefly.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
All right, thank you, Victor, and the entire team at Venus Business Technician. I appreciate everything that you have done today. It has been really a wonderful session, and I believe majority of us have got something to learn. Now, briefly, I've seen some people here, they have IT knowledge and others have the journalism knowledge. Now, for those people who have journalism knowledge, where we say that as you uploading the image on your website, you include what we call art. In journalism knowledge now, that is what we call photo caption. You write a caption for your photo describing it. And then Mr. Victor talked about something to do with the citation, how Google cites your website or your content, and he talked about the headline and then the first two paragraphs. Now, for those who study journalism, that is what we call the lead. And in your lead, you should be having the 5 W's, where, what, who, when, like where the story took place, who are the people who were involved in, what was the story about, so on and so forth. And there is something else I wanted to comment about. Let me see where I wrote it. Find right about. When we talk of blogs and articles, maybe if I can give a supplement about that. People now, we have 2 types of newspapers. We have 2 types of newspapers. We have what we call tabloid content, and we have what we call broadsheet newspapers. Newspapers like Red Paper, which we all know in Uganda, used to write what we call tabloid content, and most of the blogs are like that, and they are meant to entertain, as Mr. Victor said, and they use majorly jargons and slangs, which is a different case in article writing. In article writing, it needs to be based on facts. If you're writing an article and it includes like statistics, the figures should be accurate and they should be statistical, quantitative, that's what I mean. And articles inform and educate, so there is little of entertainment. So that's what I can say, Mr. Victor. If you're still on, meanwhile, others can send in their questions and we can attend to them. Thank you. Mr. Victor. Yes, members, you can unmute your microphones, and if you have a question, you pose it to me. Members, you can unmute your mics and you pose questions if you have 1 or 2, or if you have something to say. Mr. Baguma, do you have any question?
For me, what I wanted to ask is, hello?
Yes, I'm getting you.
You have said there are 2 types of newspapers, tabloid and you have said broadsheet.
Tabloid and broadsheet.
The tabloid is the one that relies on entertainment and fun.
Yeah, the tabloid relies majorly on entertainment. If you have always consumed like Red Paper, you will see that most of their content is what we call soft news. They talk about sports, entertainment, love, sex, language, that lifestyle language.
Then what about broadsheet?
And then broadsheet, now if you can take an example of newspapers like New Vision, Daily Monitor here in Uganda, The Observer, they have detailed stories and they are always basically on informing. They cover areas like politics, tourism, agriculture, economics, so on and so forth. And you will hardly meet such content in tabloid newspapers.
Okay. Otherwise, I thank you so much.
All right, thank you, and we are pleased to have you here. Any other person, if you have a question, then you can unmute the microphone, you ask us, we will respond to you. I honorably welcome Dembara Archdiocese lay leader, the lay leader, Gervas Indianabo, Saba Christo. Saba Christo in our local language, I welcome you. Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Gilbert. Mr. Gilbert is our Western Uganda Bureau Chief for Parrots Media. If you have any question, if you have any comment, then you can speak to us. Meanwhile, we shall also welcome other team members from Venus Business. I'm seeing some here, Teddy and others. Mr. Gilbert, over to you. We are unable to get you, Mr. Gilbert, but you still can try. Yes, please.
Hello. Hello, I'm here.
Yes,
Hello.
I'm getting you now.
Can you
Yes,
hear
please.
me?
Yeah,
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Yes, we are getting you.
Yes, there.
We might be having a technical glitch. We are not getting so well.
That guy.
Baguma, your network is slightly like mine. It is on and off.
And even Gilbert, are you getting Gilbert, Mr. Victor?
No, not really.
I'm not
I'm not.
hearing.
Anyway, I'm going to request that we can end our meeting.
Yeah, we can end it from here.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. I see some people have left, but we are extremely grateful.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And we hope to see you again doing this.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, my brother.
Upon the heavens, there's twinkling just for you. And Mr. Moon, he came by to say goodnight to you. I'll sing for you, I'll sing for Mother. We're praying for the world. Fighting